Hi friends, today is 27th August 2012 Monday. This video is chapter 13 of my book Right to Recall Party Manifesto. The manifesto is available for download at rahulmehta.com/301.htm. I'll repeat, rahulmehta.com/301.htm. You can download it from there. And chapter 13 is about how right to recall mass movement can be built, means how activists working on their own or on very small groups without forming a one large centralized organization or even one organization, forget centralized, one organization, how this mass movement can be built. So I'll give you a brief background that the goal is to bring right to recall, MRCM, jury system, etc. laws in India. These laws will never come by electing so-called good people in parliament, because once these people get elected in parliament, they will change their mind, they will start opposing right to recall. So the only way is to build mass movement. Now there have been fake mass movements, like mass movement of the Anna. It is absolutely fake mass movement, and because of the fake mass movement, now people think that mass movement is impossible idea. That is nonsense. I have a videotape in Hindi which explains why mass movement is the only way, and mass movements have happened and mass movement can be successful. There are some preconditions. Now I will mention about how you can work for 4-5 hours a week and build a mass movement. Not more than 4-5 hours a week. 4-5 hours a week is sufficient. Of course, if you want to work more, it is more than, you are more than welcome. So what are the activities I request you to do? First thing is that I request you to have a Facebook profile, and many of you would be having Facebook profile, and in the alternate name I request you to put right to recall PM. If you look at my profile name in Facebook, my profile name is right to recall PM. Inside it, alternate name is Rahul Chimanbhai Mehta, my name. You may not want to go to that extreme. If you go to that extreme, fine. But otherwise, I request you to have whatever name you have, your name in the profile name, and alternate name as right to recall PM. It is important to put right to recall PM to distinguish ourselves from pseudo-recallists like the Anna. Right to recall PM, if you say right to recall, then you are not telling what right to recall what. Right to recall Sarpanch, right to recall Corporator. Whereas when you are putting right to recall PM, you are explicitly making clear that you now believe in right to recall PM, right to recall Supreme Court judges, everyone. Then I request you to join Facebook group Right to Recall Against Corruption. Then join the Google group Right to Recall Google group, and so forth. You may join group on Orkut. The purpose of joining all this group is to increase the head count. The second one is signing RTI to petition. RTI to petition is at petitiononline.com/RTI2-EN. I'll repeat, petitiononline.com/RTI2-EN. EN stands for executive notification. All this is given in chapter 13 of my book. The book you can download from rahulmehta.com/301.htm. Then comes all these steps that I am saying. You can take these steps in 5 minute to 10 minute time. The third step, step 1.3, is look at right to recall draft in section 1.3 of this book and read it once. And please obtain the documents from my website rahulmehta.com/001.pdf, 001.h.pdf, 001.g.pdf. It's in Gujarati, G for Gujarati, H for Hindi. So like that, there are different documents in different languages. There is 001.b.pdf in Bengali, and so forth. So I request you to read TCP draft given in section 1.3 and then also read RTI, read MRCM draft and other drafts. After that comes the most important part, which sadly very few activists are doing, is writing postcard to Chief Minister, Prime Minister, your MP, MLA, with one line or a few lines that you want TCP to be passed, right to recall to be printed in Gazette notification. Please make it clear that you want these laws in the Gazette notification. The word Gazette notification must come, and you should also make it explicit that you want such and such laws in the Gazette. Then I request you to write 25 postcards every week or every month. Whom should you write postcard to? Randomly chosen voters. You can buy voter list of your constituency for about 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees. This is the voter list. Or you can download it from internet. If you cannot get voter list of your constituency, you can take voter list of any other constituency. And take first page at random. See, this is very important. Please first take first page at random and take 25 names, 25 families and write them postcard about right to recall draft. And if you can spend more money, write inland letter. There is a trade-off. Inland letter will take less time because you can Xerox inland letter. Postcard you cannot Xerox, you have to write handwritten. And if you have still more money, if you can spend more money, then take the pamphlets Xerox. Pamphlet will be about 4 to 8 to 32 pages. I have various pamphlets on my website rahulmehta.com. You can pick anyone you like and send those pamphlets by post. 20 pamphlets by post will cost you about 7 rupees of postage per post, so that is about 140 rupees plus cost of envelope plus cost of pamphlet. All will come as 250 rupees. So depending on how much money you want to spend. See, when I say spend money, there is a big difference between right to recall group and other groups such as Anna group or Congress or BJP. What they say is that give us donation. Whereas in my right to recall party, there are no donations. Each activist decides how much money he wants to spend, and he spends directly on the activities such as postcard or pamphlet Xeroxing or postal or sending pamphlet by post. In any case, I request you to write postcard, even if you are giving newspaper advertisement, which may cost several lakhs of rupees. Why I request you to write postcard every week or every month? Because that way even the smallest person, even the lower middle class person who can barely spend 10-15 rupees per month, he can also contribute in this movement. And in order to make him contribute, you have to be an example. This is what I believe, that never lead. I don't believe in leading by example. I believe in becoming example, and if others want to follow, fine. Otherwise, it will be fate of the country as it turns out to be. So, but if you do not write a postcard, it will be difficult for you to ask others to write postcard. I write about 20 postcards every month myself, along with distributing thousands of pamphlets as well as giving newspaper advertisements. So in case of pamphlet writing, postcard writing, you can get this voter list from any political party office. You can download it from internet. If you go to political party's office, you pick the first page at random. Xerox about 10, 50, 20 pages. If you Xerox 20 pages, it will cost you about 10 to 20 rupees. And then you are sending one page will have about 20-30 voters list, about 10 families. You send one postcard to each family. So it will cost you about 10-15 rupees per month. the postcard writing is most important, and sadly very few people are doing it. Now comes the 8th step, step 1.8, second most important step, sending pamphlets to N voters. So as I said, you can download the voter list, you can make Xerox of it, go to any political party's office and make 10, 50, 100 pages Xerox, and then you can send 1 or 2 or 5 pamphlets by post. If you send one pamphlet, it will cost you about 7 to 10 rupees, including cost of envelope and postage stamp cost, and Xeroxing pamphlet will cost you about 2 to 5 rupees to 10 rupees depending. So if you want to spend less money, I would say send only one pamphlet a week. If you can spend more money, then I would say spend more pamphlets a week. If you make 1,000 copies of the pamphlet, 1,000 copies of 32-page pamphlet will cost you about 4 rupees on a newspaper quality printout, and if you take better quality page, it will cost you about 6 to 8 rupees. But sooner or later, as I say, see, the movement cannot spread along with only by my own expenses. So sending pamphlet is another thing. Then step 1.9, it will be 1 hour per month, attend one garden meeting. How to get hold of garden meetings? You can join Right to Recall community on Facebook. Wherever you are living, whichever corporation ward or village panchayat ward or tahsil panchayat ward you are living, you can post, you can start a Right to Recall group for your city or for your district or for your tahsil, and ask people to join that group if they are living in that tahsil, and you can ask them to attend the garden meeting in your area. If elections are going on, then distribute pamphlets. And speaking to all local party members, contact all BJP members, Congress members, SP members. Most of them will not even want to know about Right to Recall, but some of them might. Some of them may want to know about Right to Recall, some of them will be genuinely interested, and if they are genuinely interested, some of them, I mean 2 out of 100, or maybe around 2-3 out of 100, not many more. And also speak to members of different political groups such as Bharat Swabhiman Trust, India Against Corruption. I myself is member of Bharat Swabhiman Trust, and lot of BST people are actively interested in Right to Recall and so forth. Then attend meetings of as many NGOs as possible and inform them about Right to Recall laws, draft, Right to Recall drafts, and pass them this information. So basically on Facebook, please write Right to Recall PM in your alternate name, then download rahulmehta.com/001.pdf or rahulmehta.com/001.h.pdf, and write 25 postcards to voters, write and pamphlets to different voters, and can be anything, 5, 10, 15 or even 1 per week. Please get hold of voter list. This is very important. I request you to download voter list of your constituency or any constituency nearby. The purpose is to spread information, does not have to be information in your area, but it is necessary that you take randomly chosen voters out of the voter list, because if you are distributing to your neighbors, then it will become a closed group where you are talking to your neighbor and next day your neighbor is talking to you, so information will not spread across the area. Now, second set of activities. The first set of activities I mentioned, they cost you about 4 hours a week and about 10-20 hours, 4 hours a week and 100-200 rupees per month. The second set of activities will cost you about 200-300 rupees per month, and they will take a little bit more time, about 4 to 8 hours, 8 hours a week. So, download rahulmehta.com/RRP_questions.pdf. rahulmehta.com. So I described you set 1 activities. Set 1 activities take 10 minutes, about 2-4 hours per week and will cost you less than 100-150 rupees per month. Set 2 activities will take more time, about 8 hours per week and about 200-500 rupees per month. So first is download rahulmehta.com/rrp_questions.pdf. It is written in step 2.1. Step 2.1, you can download this and try to attempt 1 question per day. This in this book there are hundreds of questions on right to recall party agenda and also on this administrative systems of India, US and many other countries. Then attend right to recall group meetings, right to recall party meetings near your place. Attend one meeting, at least one meeting a month, and if possible more. Then large scale pamphlet distribution. Distribute about 1,000 to 2,000 pamphlets per month. Costing printing this 1,000 pamphlet, say 2-page, back and forth. That is 1 sheet of paper and 2 pages. That will cost you about 200 rupees per month, and 1,000 pamphlets you can distribute at bus stand or any other such place. Then step 2.5 is newspaper advertisement. Newspaper advertisements are must. I have explained it in one of my video E1301 that when it comes to paid media, as we all know, media is paid media. So how do we deal with paid media? In order to deal with paid media, we have to have newspaper advertisements on the front page. Newspaper advertisements on front page will cost you 50,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees per advertisement, which is a lot of money. Some people like myself might be willing to spend that money, others may not be willing to spend so much money. So if it is too much money, then I would say don't spend any money for 5-6 months, and then whatever the money, first you decide how much money you want to spend per month or per year and give half of it towards newspaper advertisement. How the newspaper advertisements are to be collected? Write a demand draft directly in the name of newspaper advertisement and give it directly to the newspaper, and let one person prepare the advertisement. If you like the advertisement, fine. Otherwise, find some other volunteer, find some other activity head and give a newspaper advertisement. Give money, write check in the name of newspaper or the advertisement company, and give newspaper advertisement directly in the means write the check directly for the newspaper advertisement you like. And then giving newspaper advertisement during election time. So look at the list of candidates in your constituency. Look at the one which worked for right to recall agenda most. If none of them has done anything for right to recall agenda, then find candidate in some other constituency, could be nearby constituency. See, if you are voter in Ahmedabad, does not mean that you can work only for the candidate in Ahmedabad. If all the people in Ahmedabad are not so good or bad, then work for a candidate who is in nearby constituency like Gandhinagar or Mehsana or any other constituency. All in all, during election, I would request you to spend about 1,000-2,000 rupees for one newspaper advertisement of the candidate that you think has done most for this right to recall agenda. So these are the step list 1 activity and list 2 activity. List 1 activity is doing small things like distributing pamphlet, writing postcards, then writing in Facebook, right to recall PM as your alternate name and so forth. Now comes list 3 activity. That is going to be very hectic. It is election contesting, or rather I would say election losing. Let me put it very clearly. You cannot win election on right to recall platform. Why? To win election, either you have to have a very constituency specific agenda, that you are some local guy doing lot of local propaganda and then you can get 25-30% vote. To win election, you must get at least 30% votes. It is nearly impossible to win election with less than 30%. 25 is the least, but 30, let us say 30%. So either you require a very constituency specific agenda, you need to have a lot of local contact, you are doing a lot of local social charity. That could be possible, but that has nothing to do with right to recall. Right to recall is not social work. We are not doing any community work, charity work, or any personal help. Ours is a very national level issue. So in order to get 30% vote in one specific constituency, that is possible only if you are getting at least 5 to 10% vote in a state or nationwide. And by the time right to recall group gets about 2 to 3% votes, right to recall laws will come in India. In which case, you will not really require to contest election on right to recall platform. So why are you contesting election, or why am I asking you to contest or rather lose election on right to recall platform? The reason I am asking you to do so is so that the information on right to recall laws, right to recall drafts spread at a very fast rate. How it will spread at a very fast rate? Why election contesting is important? That let us say I am distributing election pamphlet. I'll give you an example of election pamphlet. Say this is one of my election pamphlet, or so you are distributing election, and on a good day if you distribute 1,000, 2,000, on a good day if you distribute 1,000, 2,000 pamphlets, then out of 100, 200 people, say you distribute about 1,000 pamphlets like this. This was one of my election pamphlets. Then about 50 to 100 will read. But if it is election time and you are election candidate and you are distributing pamphlet, you distribute 1,000 pamphlet, then 300 to 400 to 500 people will read. So the information will reach to larger number of people. All political party activists will immediately take your pamphlet very seriously. They will go through the pamphlet, and in the pamphlet if you have written all this information that citizens in US have right to recall police commissioner, they have right to recall governor. In India we don't have right to recall. Mahatma Chandrasekhar Azad had demanded right to recall in 1925. If all this information is in the pamphlet, then this information will reach to the citizens immediately, and thus the information will spread at a very fast rate. So activity list 3 consists of contesting election, and what I request you to do is first read biography of Batukeshwar Dutt and Hero Onada, HIROOONUDA. That will basically tell you life of what I call as good activist. These 2 biographies are very important in my opinion. Then translate right to recall party documents in your own local language. For example, I type them in Gujarati. Then give newspaper advertisements. Write articles as many as possible on your own, as well as translation on administrative system of world, India, etc. Write drafts to how problems of India can be reduced, solutions. What law drafts can reduce solutions of problems of India, and so forth. Now, the campaign methods that I am suggesting for candidate. See, one thing should be clear. Please do not contest with aim to win. You will be terribly disappointed. If you are independent or from small party, you will not get more than 1 or 2 or 3% votes. Getting 1% vote is very decent show for an independent candidate. When you are contesting election, please be prepared for all sorts of harassment. For example, I have faced about 4 income tax inquiries. You are also likely to face income tax inquiry. Then give newspaper advertisements. It will cost you several lakhs of rupees. But newspaper advertisements are very important, because only when something comes in the newspaper it becomes talk of the town. Say your activists know about right to recall. They want to tell this information to citizens. But if there is no curiosity in citizens to know, if they do not have desire to know, then they will not ask questions, they will not pay much attention to the information. So, to increase the demand for information, to increase curiosity, it is necessary that you give newspaper advertisement, and that will cost you several lakhs of rupees. Then distribute as many pamphlets as possible. Next is, as far as right to recall group goes, I make it very clear, activists, volunteers will not get any compensation at all. If they want to work for right to recall, fine. If they do not want to right to recall, anyway you are going to lose, Why it does not matter. I do not mind spending lakhs of rupees in advertisement, newspaper advertisement, but I do not give compensation to activists. Oh yeah, of course, tea, coffee in your office is more than welcome. Anyone who comes in my office for voluntary work, all food etc. is always there, but I do not give any wages to the activist. Now, the campaign method I suggest for non-candidate worker. Non-candidate worker is right to recall volunteer who wants to campaign in an election for a candidate who is contesting election. So how you can contribute? Find out an activist around you whom you think has done most for the right to recall movement. He could be anywhere in India, he could be in your constituency. If there is nobody in your constituency, it can be neighboring constituency. If there is nobody in your neighboring constituency or your state, find an activist from a different state. How you can help him? If you are physically close to him, say for example he is in your own constituency, then you can do offset printing of 1,000, 2,000 of his pamphlet and distribute it on your own. See, you may take the pamphlet from your candidate, but I discourage that practice. Why? Because let us say the goal is to distribute 5 lakh, 10 lakh pamphlets. Then your candidate may not be able to bear all the expenses. Second thing is that, okay, you offer a deal to the candidate that give me 100 pamphlet, I'll give you cost of printing. Say one pamphlet is costing 1 rupee, 8-page pamphlet for 6-page pamphlet will cost about 150 rupees, 2 rupees. And you buy 100, 200, 500 pamphlet for whatever is the cost price. That is okay, but still it is more preferable if you get the pamphlets printed yourself. Because eventually the goal is to create large number of activists, independent activists. If you are going to your candidate and asking him to give pamphlet, then you are dependent on each other's free time. The biggest problem today is that people may or may not have free time, but it is very difficult to ensure that two people have free time at the same time. Let me re-explain this. Say A has free time of 8 to 10 hours a week, B has free time of 8 to 10 hours a week, but if A and B decide that they will work together, then they can work only when both of them have free time, and that may not be possible. Throughout weeks and months will pass. So entire goal is that how can one person work on his own so that his free time gets maximum utilization. So for that I request that you get the pamphlets printed yourself. How? You ask your candidate that give me the PDF of the pamphlet. He would have put the PDF or mirror PDF on his website or some other site, or he can email them to you, or Facebook, his Facebook profile, you can download the documents from his Facebook profile, and then give it directly to the offset guy, and the offset guy will deliver you 1,000, 2,000 pamphlets which you can distribute yourself. So what is the advantage of this method? First, you are reducing economic burden on your candidate. And second, maximum amount of independence, minimum amount of time sharing. That you can be free at your time, the candidate is free at your time, but both don't have to be free at your own time. Now, one thing again I'll put it, if you are becoming right to recall candidate, you must remove all doubts from your mind that you are doing it for the candidate. If you think that you are doing it for your candidate, then I will request you not to do anything. The movement is not about popularizing one person. It is simply, it is neither useful nor it is going to help in any way. Let's say that I become famous, does not make any difference. Tomorrow media can throw mud on me and kill my personality image. The goal is to make this draft as popular as possible, because the draft cannot be maligned. For example, this TCP draft or right to recall PM draft or right to recall MP MLA draft, it is not possible for paid newspapers to say that this draft is wrong if this draft is correct. So, you must be clear in your mind that you are not doing it for candidate, you are doing it to publicize the right to recall law drafts. And if you are doing it to publicize right to recall law draft, then you are not helping candidate in any way. Candidate is losing his own time and losing his own money in order to lose the election. If he is going to win the election, fine. If he is getting money to cut the votes, then okay, he is making some money and you should take money from him. But as far as right to recall goes, all parties hate it. No party gives any money to right to recall campaigner, because all parties, first thing they hate is right to recall law. Whether it is Anna party, whether it is BJP, Congress, CPM, the law that they hate most is the right to recall law, because that law cuts down their business completely. So no party is going to give vote to a right to recall party candidate or right to recall party independent, right to recall group independent candidate. So if you are a worker for such a candidate, you must be very clear that that candidate is not making any money, he is losing money. So if possible, contribute. If not possible, do not contribute, but try to be as little burden on him as possible. Now, working method, as I say, is virus works in a team of one. See, the most successful organism in the world, in a way, is virus. When it comes to killing the enemy, there are two different things. When you want to create something, and there are times when you just want to destroy. Create is, for example, if you want to run company, I will not prescribe this methodology. Company, you are making a product, your goal is to make business, your goal is to make a building, or your goal is to make a software product, or your goal is to make road. There you require intense amount of coordination, there should be minimal duplication of work, there should be very tight schedules, everybody must work in a very synchronous fashion and so forth. But when it comes to activism, I propose directly opposite view. Each activist should be as independent as possible, he should work in a team of one, like virus, or like an ant. You see I say virus is the strongest animal, that if you ask somebody who is the strongest animal, somebody will say elephant, somebody will say whale, somebody might say lion, tiger, but in a way virus is the strongest, because it can kill entire school of whale, it can kill entire battalion of elephants and so forth. And why it is so effective? Because it does only one thing, it replicates and it infects. Infects means enemy. Who is our enemy? A multinational company, missionary, this corrupt politician, corrupt judges, corrupt and paid activists like Anna, etc. They are our enemies. What is our tool? Giving information about right to recall draft to the citizens, to the activist, and then asking them, can you ask Anna to support right to recall PM draft? He has been saying right to recall PM for past 16-18 months. Arvind Bhai says that he has been campaigning about right to recall since 2004. I never heard him, but let's say he has been saying, fine, let's believe him for a while, then why is he not giving right to recall MP draft? So you are taking specific questions to the volunteers, to the citizens, and asking them to ask the questions further. And that way you are building the movement for right to recall law drafts. So as lonely as possible, I would say, work in a team of one. Why work in a team of one? Because if 2 people, 3 people decide to form a team, then they can work only when all 3 people have free time at the same time, which may not happen. Another biggest problem is that all of you are working under a big activist sitting in Delhi or Ahmedabad or Mumbai. What if that activist is a Ford Foundation agent? What if that activist is corrupt? You lose the whole movement in one day. So you end up wasting your time. For example, look at this IAC people, they ended up losing 16 months of their time. Time pass, all they did was time pass for 16 months. Meanwhile, our enemy is benefiting. See, time pass is not a loss by itself. You lost your time. Fine, you are going to lose your time anyway. But if enemy is not doing time pass, enemy means Saudi Arabia or China or America, which are our enemy countries. If they are not doing time pass and we keep on doing time pass, then eventually one day they will become so strong that they will come and invade us and re-enslave us, just as America has re-enslaved Iraq, America has re-enslaved Libya, China is penetrating into Pakistan, it has already enslaved Tibet and so forth. So, time pass is not a good activity, and the threat of time pass is increasing as centralization increases. If you have one leader who is high command and he goes around telling activists that you should not campaign for right to recall, you must focus on Jan Lokpal, or do not campaign for Jan Lokpal, campaign only for right to recall, then what if that activist himself has sold out to MNCs and missionaries? So that threat, how do you minimize that threat? Work on your own. Look at all the proposals, look at the proposal that you like most, that you think will do best for India, least damage for India, and least damage and most good for India, and start working for those particular proposals. Now, I have made a list of small activities that you have to do on internet, like writing on a Facebook profile, right to recall PMS and alternate. How do they make difference? They basically increase the hit count. More the people say right to recall PM, right to recall PM becomes a bigger voice on Facebook, and every voice counts, particularly when you do not have support of paid media. See, all these people, Congress, BJP, CPM, CPI, Anna Party, they have huge support of paid media. Today's date is August 27. Look at today's newspaper, any newspaper, English newspaper, I mean. Take any popular Indian newspaper. Today's front page is picture of Arvind Bhai. Policemen are throwing water cannons on him and he is being portrayed as a great martyr, as if some new Bhagat Singh or new Chandrasekhar Azad. So this is basically paid media. Now paid media is in their favor. Paid media is not in the favor of right to recall law. Why? Because right to recall Doordarshan is going to kill the business of all these media men. Once there is right to recall Doordarshan chairman, the Doordarshan will start displaying all the truth, and then money that newspaper people make for suppressing the truth will reduce. So they don't like, the media men don't like right to recall. So we are against media men. So every small presence of internet counts, every small pamphlet counts, every newspaper advertisements count. Now finally comes, if you are right to recall activist, then you have to deal with anti-recallist and pseudo-recallist. Anti-recallists have this pet argument that right to recall will create pralay, instability. As Subramanian Swami says, right to recall आएगा, instability हो जाएगी, पूरे देश में खतरा आ जाएगा, भूकंप आ जाएगा, all that nonsense he says. For that, I request you to go through right to recall draft. Our draft clearly say we believe in positive recall and not negative recall. That is, when the alternative is fully approved and his support, additional support is proven, then only he replaces the existing guy. There is no negative recall saying that remove the existing guy and then there is vacuum. Second, if a person has obtained, let us say 25% votes in a right to recall MP, I am giving you an example, let us say there are 15 lakh people in a constituency, let us say 8 lakh people have voted, and let's say winner got 2,50,000 votes, then recall election will happen when an alternate person gets approval of at least 4 lakh people. And then there will be recall. In that recall, that alternate person must get at least 4 lakh vote. So every time when change happens, if change happens, then the change is happening. Every time the percentage vote secures increases by 15%. So in worst case, there can be 6 election. Worst case, I am giving you worst case scenario, mathematical type worst case scenario. So there cannot be perpetual instability as all these anti-recallists are saying. in reality, when right to recall comes, the person starts behaving properly and therefore right to recall is rarely invoked. For example, in America, there is right to recall police commissioner. How many police commissioners got fired in past 100 years? 4 out of 10,000 to 15,000. Less than 4 out of about 12,000 to 15,000 police commissioners got fired. Why so low? Because all police commissioners know that they can be fired tomorrow. So this is the argument you must know and must remember very well. And the only way you can remember is by understanding. There is no rote, because if you do rote, the person can frame the argument in a different way and your rote will be useless. So you must understand the draft and you should challenge him with, give me the scenario. Tell me which scenario, how this draft. Show him the draft first. That is very important. That right to recall, whether it is unstable or stable, depends on the draft. Yeah, if you come up with very nonsense draft, it can cause instability. But then it is a problem with your draft. Problem is not with the draft we are proposing. Then next comes dealing with pseudo-recallists. Pseudo-recallists are more dangerous than recallists because they will say, I believe in right to recall, they will hijack the movement and then they will destroy it. I don't mind if they hijack and extend it. Like Microsoft. They hijack a lot of things, but they extend it. Whole software industry works on hijack and extend principle, as we call it. 99% copy paste, 1% inspiration, 1% perspiration, 98% copy paste. But anti-recallists want to hijack right to recall movement, that come to me, I believe in right to recall, you should work with me because we promote right to recall, and when they want to take the movement to dead end and kill it. What are the characteristics of right to recall? There are 10 characteristics of pseudo-recallist, 11 characteristics of pseudo-recallist, and the Anna gets 100 out of 100 points on all 11 counts. First is that the pseudo-recallist will discourage you from reading draft. A true recallist will always show you the draft and will request you again and again to read the draft. A pseudo-recallist will say, draft के बाद अगले जन्म में करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे मतलब अगले जन्म में करेंगे. So pseudo-recallist will always oppose draft reading. And if the person is opposing draft reading and draft discussion on draft, that means he is pseudo-recallist. Pseudo-recallist will say, I support right to recall, but he will never specify his position. Like Anna. You will hear him 100 times saying, right to recall hona chahiye, right to recall hona chahiye, but you will never hear him saying, right to recall on what position? I say, I want wheel, but what wheel? Scooter rickshaw wheel? Motorcycle wheel? Truck wheel? Khilone ki? Toy car wheel? What wheel? So, pseudo-recallist will say right to recall and never give position. Similarly, all these chote anne also say right to recall, but they never specify position. So ask them specifically, do you support right to recall Supreme Court judge? Do you support right to recall Jan Lokpal? If you supported right to recall Jan Lokpal, why didn't you add right to recall Jan Lokpal clauses in the Jan Lokpal draft? If you are supporting right to recall PM, why don't you give the draft for right to recall PM? If you support right to recall MP, why are you not giving draft for right to recall MP in past 16 months? So first they will not give draft. See, not giving draft is like giving you a check and not signing it. I give you a 1 lakh rupee check. And then you realize that I forgot to sign the check and you keep coming to me and I refuse to sign it. Or मैं बोलूँगा, check तो मैंने दे दिया ना, I gave you the check. Why are you saying that I did not give you the check and I'll never sign the check? So this draftless activist leader, such as the Anna, are basically people who give you the check and never sign the check. And another is that they will never specify the position. Second, pseudo-recallists will say right to recall on high positions like PM, CM should be done later. Later means next lifetime. They want right to recall Sarpanch, maybe a year or 2 years, then right to recall corporator, then maybe right to recall mayor. And what about right to recall MP, MLA? Maybe after 5 years. Right to recall CM, PM in next lifetime. Right to recall Supreme Court judge after 7 lifetime. So moment a person says later, you can guarantee that he is a pseudo-recallist. Then pseudo-recallist will never refute the claims of anti-recallist. For example, Subramaniam says right to recall is nonsense. Anna never issued even one sentence or one statement against Subramaniam Swami's false claim. So what pseudo-recallist will say, we want right to recall. Then anti-recallist will say, right to recall will cause instability. Pseudo-recallist will never give answer. So before the audience, impression is that, yeah, right to recall must be creating instability. Otherwise, why is this people talking about right to recall? Why is he not refuting the claim? And So it is lawyer who has told out. Let us say two of us are contesting game. You have your lawyer, I have my lawyer, or I am myself. I make argument, and your lawyer does not make any counter argument. So what the judge or the audience will think? They will think that your case is weak. So pseudo-recallist is like a lawyer who has told out he will never refute the claims of anti-recallist. Like Advani made a statement that right to recall is infeasible, right to recall is too expensive, it will cause instability. Anna did not refute his claim. Chote Anne did not refute his claim. So that proves that they are pseudo-recallist. Then pseudo-recallist will say right to reject first and right to recall later. Right to reject is a nonsense proposal, it is a weak proposal. Because there will be re-election if right to reject gets at least 25-30% highest number of votes. Highest means at least 25 to 30%. Moment a voter enters into the polling booth, the person who hates BJP more will say, if I go vote for none of the above, what if the Congress wins? What if the BJP wins? And the person who hates Congress more, he will say, what if I vote for right to reject? What if the BJP Congress wins by one vote? So finally, what pseudo-recallist will do is that they will say, yes, we believe in right to recall, we believe in right to recall. Moment you go to them, the next day they will say right to reject and right to recall, which means first we should talk only about right to reject. And if and when right to reject is done, maybe 1 year, 2 year, only after that, we should talk about right to recall. What it means is that we should not talk about right to recall. So their sequence of statement is, yes, we believe in right to recall. Yes, we believe in right to reject and right to recall. Then third statement, only right to reject now, right to recall after right to reject is done. So phasing, timing, all these nonsenses they will throw up, and the goal is to postpone right to recall to infinity. Then alternate proposal is fine. Alternate proposals are always welcome. Like they will say, focus on right to recall, focus on Lokpal only, focus on right to reject only. So using the word only, they do time pass of months and months and months. Like for example, what Anna said in April 2011 is that we want right to recall. Then he said, first we want Lokpal, only after that we should talk about right to recall. So for 16 months he did time pass in the name of Lokpal, and thus he killed right to recall movement for 16 months. Then pseudo-recallist will insist on signature-based procedure. That is very important. See, in my procedure, a person walks to Patwari's office, he says that these are the 5 candidates he approves, Patwari will enter them in computer, he will give a printed receipt and take 1 rupee, 3 rupee fee. What pseudo-recallist will insist is that no such person should not be required to go to Patwari's office, he should not be going to Patwari's office. Instead, one volunteer should go door to door and gather signature. Now problem with signature is that 50%, 60% people in India don't know how to sign. And the collector does not have signature or fingerprint specimen of 15 lakh people in the constituency. So that way, with signature gathering, they make sure that they give a horrible right to recall draft that a person will say and read and say, oh, this is cumbersome, this is not possible. So they oppose appearance-based draft. They will always oppose appearance-based, like Anna is opposing appearance-based draft. Then this Chote Anne, all the Chote Anne, they have opposed all appearance-based draft and they insist on signature gathering. Then pseudo-recallists have another habit that they will sell buttermilk at the price of milk. For example, they will say Lokpal. But what if Lokpal becomes corrupt? Shouldn't we have right to recall Lokpal? So they will say, yes, we have right to recall Lokpal. Okay, where is right to recall Lokpal in your draft? Right to recall Jan Lokpal, that he or she Supreme Court judge can expel Lokpal. Jan Lokpal. Well, that is not right to recall. Right to recall means citizens can expel Lokpal or citizens can expel a particular person. That is right to recall. 2/3 of MPs expelling a person is called impeachment. It is not right to recall. 50% of MPs expelling PM, that is no confidence motion, it is not right to recall. Judge expelling a person, it is judicial procedure, it is not right to recall. So they sell fake milk, urea milk, by calling it a milk. Supreme Court judge expelling Jan Lokpal is a urea milk. People expelling Jan Lokpal is real right to recall. So that is the another habit of pseudo-recallist, another characteristic sign of pseudo-recallist. Anti-recallist will say right to recall is expensive and pseudo-recallist will never refute it. When anti-recallists say that right to recall is expensive, I show them my draft and I say that here is right to recall PM. It is not going to cost more than 200 crore rupees, and when the draft comes on ATM and SMS, it will cost hardly 2 to 5 crore rupees to expel a PM. The pseudo-recallist will never refute his claim. So the spectator, some side person, audience will think that, oh, maybe this anti-recallist is right, that right to recall is indeed very expensive, and pseudo-recallist will not refute it. Then again, pseudo-recallist will insist on negative recall and he will oppose positive recall. Negative recall is very prone to instability. And the right to recall draft I have suggested involve positive recall. Positive recall is that when support of a person is proven, after that he is expelled, after that existing person is expelled and the new person comes, so there is not vacuum for even one day. And there is no possibility of who should come, who will come. And finally, pseudo-recallist will say right to recall should be on elected representative only. These are characteristic catchphrase of pseudo-recallist. Right to recall our elected representative. Bloody hell, why not right to recall our Supreme Court judge? Why should there be no right to recall our Jan Lokpal? Why should there be no right to recall our High Court judge? They want to clearly say that there should not be any right to recall on Supreme Court judge. That means the person is a pseudo-recallist. So if you are a right to recall activist, I request you not to waste time after that, and you must try your best to expose this pseudo-recallist and tell people that this pseudo-recallist should be exposed further, and they are paid agent of MNC or missionary wherever they are getting money from and getting their media funding. Media funding is more important than money. Money is 1 or 2 crore rupees, but the media funding these days costs hundreds of crore rupees. For example, today on front page of every newspaper you will see picture of Chote Anne. Policemen are spraying water cannon and he is standing like a brave man. Putting that picture across India, the cost is at least 5 to 10 crore, and missionaries and multinational companies are paying that cost to kill Baba Ramdev's agitation, etc., and black money issue. So now what is the time estimate I am giving for right to recall movement? That depends on how many volunteers come up. Of course, if let's say no volunteers, 0 volunteer come, then right to recall movement will never come. If there is 1 volunteer, only myself, then also right to recall movement will take 1 lakh year to come. That is besides the point. In my expectation is that number of hours, total number of hours that will be required, I expect if 2 lakh volunteers, if 2 lakh volunteers are working 4 to 6 hours a week, 6 hours a week, that will be sufficient. If they do the activities that I have mentioned, or they think of any activity which they think is better than this. Any variation is always welcome, because in right to recall group, right to recall party, why variation is welcome? Because there is no funding. Volunteers are not getting paid. Volunteers are not given any carrot that one day you will become MLA, MP or corporator or whatever. So each volunteer is coming with his own time and his own money. So each volunteer is independent. He is free to make any amount of variation he likes. Total expenditure, much of the expenditure is in newspaper advertisements, and then second is pamphlet. How many newspaper advertisements I will need? I will need about 1 newspaper advertisement across India every 2 months. That will be needed for about 1 year. If there are per constituency expense will be about 2 lakh. There are 500 constituencies roughly, so the expense is 2 lakh into 500, so 10 crore. 10 crore into 4, about 40 crore rupees of newspaper, 40 crore rupees. Of course, one person cannot contribute so much money. So eventually these 2 lakh activists will have to split the expenses. I would, if 500 activists contribute 4 lakh rupees per year, that is 2 newspaper advertisement. And if 5,000 activists contribute 16,000 per year, I have given all the estimates in section 13.20. So with that, right to recall movement can be funded. Again, when I say right to recall movement can be funded, there is no centralized funding. There is no centralized funding means you guys are not supposed to send check to me or cash to me. Each one works in his own small area and works independently or almost in a group or 2 or 3 at most. Now, there are some serious issues about how to reduce conflict among activists, that all sorts of problems will come. Problem of sexual harassment can be there, problem of fund siphoning. So I have given all the problems, and corresponding solution is that as far as right to recall movement goes, fund siphoning should be zero. Why? Because you are not giving your money to anyone. If you are a right to recall activist, whatever money you decide to spend, you have to directly give it to newspaper guy for the advertisement in return. You have to directly give it to the offset print guy for this pamphlet in return, and so forth. So there is not going to be much siphoning of fund. Tea, coffee, etc. are very small money. Then harassment problem. So if a particular activist his behavior is not proper, I say just disconnect from him. Right to recall movement is not geographical. Geographical means you do not need to work for the candidate in your area. You can work for candidate in any neighboring area. And if the candidate is too far, then also you can do one activity. You can send postcard to voters in his voter list. For example, let's say the candidate is in Mumbai and you are in Delhi and you want to work for that candidate, then the least you can do for him, download the voter list of Mumbai or ask him to email it to you and hire person to write postcard. One postcard writing will cost you about 50 paisa to 1 rupee. One postcard will cost you about 50 paisa. Send postcard to about 1,000, 2,000 of his voters. Whatever money you decide to spend, say you decide to spend 2,000 rupees, then send postcard to about, say, 1,000 of his voters. So that way you can work for any candidate you like, whether that candidate in your area or any other area should not matter. So these are the methods of right to recall agenda. One thing I'll mention, there is no glory, no fame. Why there is no glory, no fame? That media is hostile to right to recall. They are never going to write good things about you. 1 or 2 coverage in your entire lifetime could be there. After all, they are looking for some material, and if they don't know right to recall Doordarshan chairman, they might like right to recall MP, they will print it, but the day they realize that right to recall Doordarshan chairman is also in your manifesto, the newspaper guy is going to walk away. The media guy will walk away. So media is never going to give positive coverage to right to recall movement, any right to recall activist. So there is no glory, no fame. There may not be much appreciation either. What might happen is that as the movement grows, some tall leader will come, could be Anna or Congress or BJP or anyone, and they will try to hijack the right to recall movement. They will not try in the beginning because everybody hates right to recall. But when they see that the movement is unstoppable, somebody will hijack it and implement it in his own name, and chances are high that he will get all the credit. It has happened several times in history. For example, land reform in Gujarat. The reason why Gujarat is far better developed than all states in India is because land reforms happened here in 1950s. How did land reform started? There were very small Communist Party activists. They started this land reform movement, and thousands and lakhs of small landless farmer started following them, became their supporters. So the Congress saw that these crowds are increasing day by day, so they have only 3 options: kill these Communist Party workers, but then what if many more come up, and what if the whole issue goes out of hand? Second, hijack right to recall, hijack land reforms, so all these landless people will become Congress supporter. Or do nothing and let the Communist Party take over Saurashtra area, Gujarat area. And for good or bad, whatever, good for people, bad for Communist Party, but then it is their problem. Good for people that Congress decided to Debar, Trambak Bhai Debar, he was the chief minister of Saurashtra area back then. Back then Gujarat and Saurashtra were separate states. I am talking of 1950. He saw that the following of this Communist Party members is increasing day by day because of their land reform proposals. So he hijacked the land reform and he implemented it with full force. So all the landless laborer became Congress voter, and that's how Congress could continue in Gujarat for almost up to 1990. From 1950 to 1990, There were 2-3 years of time when Janata Party government came, but otherwise for 40 years, Congress rule was pretty much uninterrupted, and that was because of land reforms. And then land reforms contributed a lot to economic progress of Gujarat. But what I am saying is that let us say right to recall movement grows. Right now it is too small, so nobody will try to kill right to recall activists. When it grows big, people might try to kill right to recall activists. All these things, I do not waste my time in forecasting. I am not an astrologer. But it is a very likely scenario that if the movement grows, then somebody like Anna or Chote Anna, or somebody could be BJP, Congress, CPM, anyone, they will try to hijack the movement. They will bring the law and they will take the credit. So the right to recall activists may not get any credit. See, which is why I request you to read biography of Batukeshwar Dutt. Mahatma Batukeshwar Dutt. Freedom came because of people like Mahatma Batukeshwar Dutt. And who got all the credit? Duratma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Ghazi, and all these people stole the credit. Otherwise, their contribution to freedom movement was zero. They delayed it. In fact, Duratma Gandhi delayed the freedom movement. Jawaharlal Ghazi delayed it because he wanted to keep things in his control. And whenever he saw that things are going out of his control, he will kill it. And in the process, movement will suffer. For example, Duratma Gandhi saw that independence movement is becoming very powerful, but it is going under the influence of Mahatma Bhagat Singh. So he immediately started throwing mud on Mahatma Bhagat Singh and Mahatma Udham Singh. He said Udham Singh is a mad guy, Bhagat Singh is a terrorist, and so forth. Then he saw that independence movement is becoming powerful, but it is going under the hands of Rashtrapita Mahatma Subhash Chandra Bose. So he forced Subhash Chandra Bose to resign. Because all the formal power of Congress was under his chamcha, the treasurer and all the officer bearer. So they stopped giving all the stationery and everything to Subhash Chandra Bose. He was basically isolated. He had lot of mass support. But in the top structure of the Congress, which was controlled by British at that time and Duratma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Ghazi, they paralyzed Subhash Chandra Bose and his team by completely cutting him off all the logistic supply, that his statement will not come in the Congress mouthpiece. So Subhash Chandra Bose got fed up and he resigned. He was forced to resign. He started his own party, Forward Bloc, and then he saw that it will be better if he goes out of the country and forms an army. And he did a great job. And independence came because of Rashtrapita Mahatma Subhash Chandra Bose. But who got the credit finally? Duratma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Ghazi and all these rotten people. So that can also happen, that right to recall movement grows and grows and grows, and some big guy comes and takes the credit. So all sorts of things can happen. I do not know if right to recall will come. It has been an 85-year-old failure after all. Right to recall was first demanded by Mahatma Chandrasekhar Azad in 1925. In 1925, Mahatma Chandrasekhar Azad said that in the India we want, there will be right to recall, because without right to recall, election will be useless. And he is proved right. But despite this, we do not have right to recall today. And the paid historians do not even tell history students that Mahatma Chandrasekhar Azad had made this statement in 1925. His statement is completely blacked out. So, right to recall has been an 85-year-old failure movement. I do not know if it will come. I do not know what will happen to India if it comes or if it doesn't come. But one thing looks possible, that China or USA will attack India. China will attack it to divide India into several parts and destroy it. USA wants to attack India to take over the mines and convert entire country into Christianity, the way it did in Philippines and South Korea. And in my opinion, right to recall is the best possible weapon to deal with the situation. And without right to recall, I don't see any hope, because no matter who the new person comes, whether it is 300 MPs under the banner of Narendra Modi, or whether it is 300 MPs under the banner of Anna, or 300 MPs under the banner of Priyanka Gandhi, whosoever who comes, good guy, bad guy, not so good looking guy, not so bad looking guys, after they become MP, if there is no right to recall, they will sell out. They will all sell out within 3 to 6 months. And we will be back to square one, and we will continue to degrade. So I have proposed the methods by which you can take the right to recall movement ahead. The goal is to work as far as possible alone or in a very small team, and how you can work I have described in the chapter 13. Again, my reference material is at rahulmehta.com/301.htm. Thank you all.